You're fun to watch.
Minus 15.
Respect all, fear none.
Into the upper deck.
Intensity is not a curfew.
Oh, mercy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
From Oregon to Florida and now to Aberdeen, Maryland, the future has arrived, and it is just 45 minutes up the road from Baltimore. Welcome into MASN All Access. I'm your host, Paul Mancano. We're down here to see a baseball game. Aberdeen Ironbirds take on the Hudson Valley Renegades, but it's a little bit more important than just a short season A-ball game. It's Adley Rutschman's debut with the Aberdeen Ironbirds. Of course, it's not his professional debut. He made that last week with the Gulf Coast League, but it is an important day because Adley Rutschman is finally in Maryland, and he's here to play a baseball game. DHing tonight. Let's hear from Adley earlier today, talking about the excitement and the anticipation for this day.
I'm really excited to get going. Just kind of rehabbing and whatnot, and getting to play now. It's exciting.
Do you think today will feel more like a beginning because there weren't a lot of fans there in GCL?
Yeah, I mean, baseball's baseball, but it's going to be a little bit better atmosphere here.
You've had a lot to deal with in the last couple of weeks. How hard has it been to kind of process everything and just keep it going and focus on baseball?
It's been a lot of fun. You only get to go through this experience once, so I'm just trying to enjoy it right now.
What was the process waiting for this? Because I know there was a sickness and everything else you were dealing with. How tough is that?
It's tough. I want to be out here playing, and so it just kind of prolongs that, and I'm excited now.
DHing tonight, is that going to help, do you think, ease your way in as opposed to going right behind the plate?
I don't really think it matters at this point. I've caught a couple games down in the GCL, and so I'm just excited to play.
Have you had a chance to play first base at all?
Not since I've been back, no.
Obviously, there's somewhat a big deal here. We're in the middle of the concourse talking to you. But you have, your teammates and stuff that have already been here. Is it tough when you come in here just to, because you're kind of coming in with a splash?
I know a couple of the guys here, and every person I've met so far has been great and very welcoming. So I don't think there's going to be any problems as far as that goes.
Even the Stanford guys are next to you?
No, they're good guys.
Paul Mancano now joined by MASNsports.com's Rock Kabako here for Adley Rutschman's debut down in Aberdeen. Rock, have you ever seen a debut at short season A-ball this highly anticipated?
Wait, he's here today? I just stopped by to watch a game. That's interesting. I was here to see Dalton Hoyles, but also, yes. There have been some big deals in the past, but I think, first of all, the fact that he's a 1-1. That's huge. That's only the second one in club history, and I wasn't covering the team when Ben McDonald made his debut. And also, you do get a lot of guys who are taken early who move up quicker, like they start out at a higher level. So maybe a little bit unusual that you have Gulf Coast and now here in Aberdeen. I think the fact it's Ripken Stadium's a big deal. I talked to his dad, Randy, who said, I can't believe, the Ripken name, and he's a legend. And so that's part of the excitement. So there's a lot of hype. I wouldn't say it's the biggest media throng we've ever seen, but probably more than you normally would get for this game against Hudson Valley. I mean, there is, and I think the kid's handling it okay. I think he just wants to blend. Well, you blend. There's no way this kid's going to blend. And they're trying to relieve some of the pressure. Did you get the movie reference, by the way? Yeah, You Blend. My cousin Vinny.
Oh,
okay.
A little beef before my days. Yeah. Two Utes. I know that one.
Utes, thank you. Yeah. Yes. The manager, Kevin Bradshaw, said basically the clubhouse is going to be closed pregame for the media. They want them to just be able to relax. So they're trying to do their best to make it a normal day for him, but I think that's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, and Kevin Bradshaw mentioned that he's going to play catcher about 3 times a week. He said he might throw him over at first base, but we know tonight that he's going to DH. What do you think of this plan for how they're going to use him in the field and how they're going to use him up at the plate?
I think it makes sense in the field because, again, he had another long season collegiately. So you don't want the elbow and the shoulder to be barking. I think he had an MRI before the draft just to clear everything and make sure that there weren't any concerns. The Orioles certainly weren't concerned. But I don't think you want him to then have a heavy load behind the plate after that. So it makes sense to have him catch maybe every other day. He was told, like I said, about 3 times a week. And DH him to give him a little bit of a break. And then also a little bit of first base to see how he handles that, to keep the bat in the lineup. I think they're going to be smart by moving him around a little bit, but there's no reason to have him catching 5-6 days a week at this point. And I think moving forward, maybe he'll start catching a little more following seasons, but they do want him to be comfortable at first base, to maybe move around a little bit as well. And he can always get his at-bats as a DH.
Now, obviously, he started down earlier this week with the Gulf Coast League.
Yes.
There we go. And now as he is up here in Aberdeen, the season ends at the very beginning of September. You mentioned in one of your articles on MASNsports.com the possibility of maybe bringing him up for the playoffs for Delmarva. What do you think the odds are of that in a couple months?
I think it's pretty good as long as health-wise he's fine, he's still feeling fresh, they don't feel like it's a burden on him physically. I think you do that, you give him that experience. It'd be a nice little jolt for the Shorebirds. I mean, the Orioles have already said that it's a possibility they could do that, but they're going to monitor him and see how he's reacting to this workload here. And if he's still feeling good, then I think they would bump him up, give some at-bats in the postseason.
Rockabacco of MASNsports.com joining us here for Adley Rutschman's debut. I'm going to go watch my cousin Vinny, so I'm up to date with all of the references. We appreciate you taking the time, Rock.
My pleasure.
We're down here in Aberdeen, and I'm pleased to be joined by the Rutschmans, Carol and Randy. Guys, of course, you're the parents of Adley, who's going to be making his debut today. How excited are you for his debut here in Aberdeen?
Yeah, we're pretty anxious and excited, and rush of emotions. Yeah.
I know he's really happy to be here.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
And you guys were in Baltimore yesterday. You hadn't been, of course, from the West Coast. Did you like your experience in Baltimore when you were there?
Loved it. Just had a great time. Yeah, and even a month ago when we were here for those 3 days, it was just the Orioles organization have been unbelievable. They've been so outstanding, and the people here have been great. So.
And when Adley was drafted out of high school, you know, he was a 40th round pick and then ends up being the first overall pick 3 years later. Did you ever think that you were going to get to experience this day with all the attention and the hype for his debut?
I thought sometime he would get a chance to play the next level, but did not expect this whole thing to happen. So, yeah, so your answer, yeah, we did not expect it. So.
No, never anticipated it. I knew he was a hard worker, but no, not to this degree.
And he's been on the national spotlight, you know, for several years now, and of course playing in the College World Series. Now he gets to enter the national spotlight in terms of his professional career, but he seems like he's definitely ready to handle the pressure, wouldn't you say?
Well, I would think so. If he can't handle it, then after this last year, you know, he had the spotlight on him, you know, during most of the past year, and I thought he did really well with it. Stayed focused on the team, stayed focused on winning, stayed focused on getting better. So, yeah, I think he's done well. So,
I always think back to when he was doing kickoffs for Oregon State. How many thousands of people? And that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's had some great experiences in college, you know, so that have hopefully prepared him for that time, you know. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck tonight. I'm sure you're excited to see him play and make his debut, and we, as the Orioles community, are very excited to see him make his debut.
Thank you very much. Thanks for everything. So it's been awesome.
Of course. Randy and Carol Rutschman, excited to see their son debut tonight in Aberdeen. Let's take a look at Adley's timeline as he makes his debut with the Aberdeen Ironbirds tonight. Of course, drafted first overall by the Orioles back on June 3rd. He officially signed his first contract with the O's on June 24th. And then he made his professional debut with the Gulf Coast League Orioles last Saturday, July 20th. Went 3 for 14 with a homer and a stolen base down in Florida. Now he's up in Maryland, and let's hear from his new manager, Kevin Bradshaw, earlier today, talking about the excitement for today and how he plans to use Adley over the coming weeks and months.
We've been planning on it for a while, but it's still, once it got here and having a player like like Mr. Rutschman come in here, it's always a big thrill, and I know the players in that locker room are thrilled to have him. And as a coaching staff, we're thrilled to see what he can bring to this ball club. We've heard great things about him, so it's been a great day so far. It's lived up to the hype.
You sense, is he handling this well? I know he's used to getting a lot of attention, but how do you think he's handling it so far?
I think he's handling it okay. It looks like he's a little tired. He's had to travel from Sarasota. He's had to do a lot of things in the last probably month. So we're trying to make it as easy on him as we can. Trying to keep I know you guys usually have can go in the locker room and talk to the guys, but we're kind of keeping that off limits just for him to have a space to relax in when he needs to and think about baseball.
Your season's already going on. You guys have a good season. You have a lot of other guys who come in, some of your third rounders and sixth rounders or whatever, and now he's coming into the situation. How do you balance that, knowing that, these guys didn't get a whole lot of attention, and all of a sudden he's here and it's a big deal. How do you balance that with some of the other players and such?
You know what? You take it in stride. We have had so many moves in the last month and a half that we just take this one in stride. And, even though he's bringing you guys out, I think these other players have been playing pretty well. Toby Welk's I think he's still leading the league in hitting. So I think they probably like the attention. I think they like having you guys around. So I think it's good. We're going to handle it just like we handled, we had 8 moves the other day in one day. So we'll handle it the same way.
I guess obviously the main thing is he's going to be developing Adly and helping him develop and go along. What do you see as he's going to have to be doing? Just basically getting adjusted to life at this level? Yeah,
it's all an adjustment. Even the guys that come from the big time college programs, they still have an adjustment period. The guys from Stanford, they went through that little period, and now they're getting their feet on the ground. So it's a process, a developmental process that every player has to go through. We were all talking the other day as coaches. You take a Division III guy like Toby, and he's adjusted pretty quickly. And some of them do, some of them don't. It takes a little longer, and our job is to keep their confidence up and tell them, hey, it is a process. Some of you guys might get this year, and some of you might get it next year. But it's fun to watch them go through that process and get better.
How are you going to juggle the catcher thing? How often? I know you have several, first of all, but how are you going to juggle it with him? How often do you see him catching, and how often do you first base, DH, that kind of stuff?
He'll probably catch 3 times a week, every other day. DH probably the other days. Maybe play first one day, but he's going to have a day off in a week. So he's going to be busy, but we're not going to overuse him by any means, but we got to get him his at-bats.
With him not starting out at catching tonight, the expectation is he DHing. Will that kind of help him, do you think, where he only has to focus on one side of the ball for his debut?
I think so. I usually try, when somebody new gets here, to DH them first, just to try to get their feet wet in that role. He caught yesterday down in Sarasota, so he was scheduled to catch tonight, but they had some rainouts or something, and so that got pushed back. So that's why he's DHing tonight. But hopefully they'll get his feet wet. He get 4 or 5 at bats and be ready to catch tomorrow.
That was Kevin Bradshaw, manager of the Aberdeen Ironbirds, talking about how he's going to use Adley Rutschman. A little bit of first base, a little bit of catcher, with some DHing on the side as well. Let's go back to June 3rd, the day that Adley Rutschman became the first overall pick in the draft. And let's watch some of those highlights from that day. An exciting and momentous day for the Baltimore Orioles franchise. For just the second time in franchise history, the Orioles hold the #1 overall pick in the MLB draft. Is this the most important night of the season for the Orioles?
I think it is.
If you go back to Adley, when he left the College World Series and we all left there last year, everybody thought Adley was going to be the first pick in the country.
I would hope it'd be Adley Rutschman.
So we are awaiting the selection. The Orioles making the #1 overall pick. Adley Rutschman is the #1 overall pick, the catcher out of Oregon State.
I'm really excited to play for him. Camden Yards is a beautiful place.
The switch hitter, the polished college bat, the plus hit, plus power from both sides. Mental makeup, I think, is a separator with him. He brings leadership qualities, and then the athleticism in the defense.
That just about does it for our coverage here from Ripken Stadium in Aberdeen, Maryland. But don't forget to check out our Twitter handle at MASN Orioles. We'll have highlights throughout the game as Adley Rutschman makes his debut with the Aberdeen Ironbirds. A 6 o'clock start. And don't forget there's an Orioles game tonight as well. Over on the West Coast, O's taking on the Angels. Coverage starts at 8:30 on MASN 2. I'm your host, Paul Mancano. Thanks for tuning in to MASN All Access.